Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, and Realtree.
Alright, let's head out to the first spot, the picket fence spot. Well guys, we're finally back at it. Here it is, June 24th. Finally got all of our farming stuff wrapped up for the most part so we can get back to these food plots and some of the deer hunting stuff. The thing we're going to be doing today is setting up these rubbing posts. I've got 3 bucks in mind that I want to pattern. This is something I've been fairly successful or lucky at over the years, is picking one deer and getting that deer. It's a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy it. But we're going to start right here. This will be where I'm going to target the picket fence buck. We could also catch Paige's muzzbuck up here, very possible. He was up here quite a bit last year, but I actually expect to catch him down where we filmed him in October, which will be about a half-mile north of here. So what I'm going to do is set up my rubbing post. I've got the redneck blind right here. I'm going to set it up about 20 yards. Obviously you want to keep it in good shooting distance. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to mow this same trail. I'm going to start it now. Even though it's only June, I want to get him using it now. And so when I'm sitting here come season, he's already used this trail 100 times. He doesn't think anything of it. You know, he's not nervous. And so I'm going to set that rubbing post up about 20 yards where I want him to stop and hit that licking branch. And when I mow this trail, I'm going to bring it right by the edge of that rubbing post. So even if they're just walking the trail, naturally they're going to stop and pick their head up and smell that. The fence is open right here, so that's where that trail is going to go to. And then I've got a double set in there as well. If we hunt that on a morning, we'd hunt that double set. But for an evening hunt, we're going to hunt right here. And so, to go back a little bit, what we've done, when I get a buck kind of figured out where he likes to roam, I try to keep things the same the next year if I'm going to hunt that deer. So for instance, this was corn last year, so I left it corn this year, because I'm hoping he'll do the same thing. So I do that on just about each buck that I have targeted, and he's doing something that's particular. I notice he's using the same area. I try not to change up the food sources that next year if I don't have to. Now there's one across the road. We're going to go after that Captain Jack buck. That we did rotate from corn, or from beans to corn this year, so it's going to be a little bit different, but I still think it'll work out because it's still in his core area there. So let's get started putting up this rubbing post. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I just wrote an article about this that'll be on MidwestWhitetail.com also, about these rubbing posts and scrapes in general. So if you want to get a little more insight, more detail, check out that article. It should be up here in a few days. Alright, so this is the same one I had in here last year. It's all ready to go. Normally, if I'm not putting them in the crop field, I'll put a little cement around it just to keep the bucks from pushing them over and stuff. But this one I pull out each spring when we get ready to plant this. So. Alright. Faced right at the redneck blind. And then we will mow our trail right through here like so, right into that fence opening. And last year, November, that picket fence buck did that exact thing. He walked right up this trail, walked right in there. So looking for a repeat this year. Now the biggest benefit to doing these rubbing posts when you get into scraping season, you know, middle of September all the way through October, is they are excellent for keeping track of the bucks you want to pattern. We get tons of pictures on these, so it'll tell you where you want to be hunting them. Well, now we're down here in that crabs plot where I killed that buck last year. This is some clover that we frost seeded this spring. March, there's a lot coming up in here. It's going to be a pretty good plot, actually. Probably just have to mow it again here before long. There's some of the winter weed out of the autumn quick plot in it there. So this is that double set right there where Paige's muzzbach walked right down this trail right here. And so we're going to put a rubbing post right here on that trail. Like I said, one of the main benefits is running your cameras over these. You put them where you can get in, check them, and get the heck out of there. You know, the nice thing is you can put them wherever you want. So we'll get this one in. I want to show you this corn right here real quick. We got a little bit of a problem here. We'll talk about a few different things we can do to it. So this is one of our food plots last year we had standing corn in. If you look at all these coming up in groups like that, that's what they call volunteer corn. It's just a bunch of corn seed left over, or sometimes a whole cob of corn. And when it rains, that germinates, and we knew it was going to be an issue, and we just didn't get the timing to deal with it. We didn't get the rain in April, and then we went ahead and planted. So this is what we're left with. And these areas like this where you have a lot of it, you won't even get any ears. You're trying to grow too much stalk in too small of an area and it won't put ears on. So you have to come back with plan B. So what we'll probably do is just disc this in where it's really thick and we don't have any ears, and just put big and beastie in. We should have plenty of nitrogen if we kill this off early enough. So, you know, maybe end of July here we'll do that. But the other option, if you know you're going to have this issue, is you can rotate between either a Liberty and a glyphosate tolerant corn. You can go back and forth between those, but now our Pioneer seed is tolerant to both of those. So you almost need to go to like a dicamba corn and then back to a glyphosate or something like that. Then you can kill the Volunteer and keep the seed that you planted if you're going corn on corn like this. But usually the deer wipe it out so you don't have this issue, but not this year. Trying to hide the pain, but I hurt my back on that last one. I didn't want to tell you guys. Look like a little sissy. Yeah, mind over matter, no pain. Which way do we drill this bad boy? So when I drill these, you see I drill them at an angle. But you need that limb to come up a little bit, otherwise it's going to be too low on an 8-foot timber like this. Alright. We want it facing just about like that so it catches both edges. If they come up this edge, or if they walk this trail, we'll have our limb right there. All we need is some concrete door. Right. All right. One more trap is set. We'll come back here in about, oh, we're about a month out from putting our cameras out, maybe 3 weeks. And we'll put one up right here. Now when I put these close to a tree stand, I'll usually move my camera back just a little ways. I like them to feel nice and comfy. I don't want them to be startled whatsoever, so I'll set it back about 15 yards. And awesome way to keep track of them. Alright, let's see if I can load my carcass in here. We're going gonna have one trail's gonna be right here for sure. Let's see, and you're gonna be right there, so we almost need to be right here by this cedar. But this right here looks like cash money. Does that look like cash money?
Cash money.
Okay. So this spot here is for the Captain Jack buck, which I found one of his sheds just the other side of this ridge right here, maybe about 300 yards. And he's always used this area right here quite a bit, and we've never had really a good food source right here. We've had some beans, but that's been it. So this year we're going to change that up. We're going to trim some of these grasses out right here. We'll come and mow it and then spray it. We'll do a green source here, and we'll have corn here as well. We'll throw a little big and beastie in the areas where the corn doesn't take, where we don't have ears. So should be a pretty good food plot. Well, there's the finishing touches on the third rubbing post for the Captain Jack buck. Check back with us each week. We're going to be doing something that has to do with these 3 bucks to try and pattern them and ultimately get a shot at them. So I think next week we'll be working on food plots and mowing trails, and then each week we'll pick another thing, trail cams or whatever. So we'll see you back here next week.